Okay. First of all, coming back from New Mexico, what was it that you had to stress with these guys to change things a little bit? And you didn't seem to, and the post game didn't seem to be real happy about that game.
Well, you're never happy when you get beat, but we didn't play our game. You know, if we lose, we want to lose a certain way. We gave up too many layups, 12 to be detailed about it in the second half, and we didn't get the free throws and the layups that we wanted to get on the offensive end. So. You know, it's just the way we try to do things. Going into a game, if we're going to lose, we want to pick the way we're going to lose. Shake your hand and feel good about it. We just felt like we gave that game away. With all credit to New Mexico, they obviously have a great team and probably the best home environment that I've ever coached in.
Good teaching moments, though, for your guys, especially the young guys?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. You can't put your guys in a tougher environment than they were in Albuquerque last Saturday. But that being said, you're never happy with the loss, and hopefully and we learned some things from it. We got to be a lot tougher team physically. Thought we got outmanned out in New Mexico, and I think our guys would be honest. If they're being honest, they would agree with that.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of talk about the Crosstown Classic this week. Other years, there's nothing but talk. Would you like to see something in the middle there?
I wish that everybody. Our games were all sold out. Xavier games were sold out, and everybody loved basketball. I just think, you know, this day and age, there's just so many things going on. It's hard to get the attention maybe for the game that it needs to get. I think we're in talks now, not about just where to have the game, but when to play the game. You know, maybe playing it early is a disservice to the game before the eyes of the city are really turned to college basketball. You know, if we could get national TV to take the game in January where we would both get a break from our conferences. You know, a lot of teams do that. You know, I know Xavier in the last 3 years has played non-league games in January against BCS opponents. So I think, you know, everything's on the table. But at the end of the day, for me, I don't really talk to anybody, so I live in a vacuum.
But wasn't it in the past a feeling that to get the game played before you go into your conference schedule?
Yeah, I think so. I think that certain people thought that way. You know, at the end of the day, if you want the game, again, what's your goal? You know, if you want as much attention for the game as you can get, then you got to figure it. People are going to have to make sacrifices about where you put it. Maybe that's really my only response to that.
Say it's on the table about where it's going to be played. Would you like to see it neutral, or would you like to see it on campus?
I have exhausted myself in answering that question. With all due respect. Playing in the game, coaching in this game is an honor. It's one of the rites of passage of being a coach at Cincinnati, which I'm very honored to be, and hopefully for a long time. But I'm going to let other people make that decision. I'm on to trying to coach some basketball.
They really haven't played their best since probably the first half of the Iowa game down in the Bahamas. Is that a young team trying to feel itself? Do you see things that are exploitable?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say. You know, those are really questions for Chris. I think. You know, whenever you have a tough loss, it can have a mental effect on your team's psyche. But you know, that being said, I do know that they have a lot of new parts. When you have a lot of new parts, sometimes it takes time to get them all to mesh together. But what I see, they play really hard. You know, and I've seen some have some bad luck as well. To be honest with you, I mean, the Southern Cal looked like the Lakers when they played. You know, it's not the way Southern Cal played any other games. I think that was just one of those shell-shocking nights, and obviously in a tough time for them. So I know this: every year in this game, whatever you're not doing well, whatever your focus needs to be, your kids are going to pay attention. So we're expecting to get Xavier's best game on Saturday. Hopefully, we'll give them our best game and see who wins.
How does Steenbrook change what they do?
Well, it gives them a low post score. You know, where for a long time there they were a pick and roll team with their offense surrounded or tailored to Mark Lyons and Terrell Holloway for many years. I think, you know, last year they were really searching for themselves and ended up going to Travis Taylor a lot in the low post, you know, as the year went on. So I think you know, he's at his best posting up, giving him the ball. He's a willing passer and he can score in the low post. So you know, I can see why they go to him, no doubt about it.
From a defensive standpoint, your defense, is Samandre the guy that makes it all go?
Well, obviously, you know, he's a tremendous player, especially in transition attacking the basket. So you got to do your best to keep him out of the paint, but that's a lot easier said than done. I didn't just come up with that. I think Evansville knew that the other night. What he shoot? 17, 18 free throws. Something crazy. So I'm sure Evansville talked about keeping him out of the paint and not fouling him. And there he is, getting 16, 17 free throw attempts, all driving at the basket. So it's just a lot easier said than done when you're talking about defending. It's got to be a collective effort, and you got to be committed to keeping him out of the paint as a team. One guy's not going to do it.
Is this another game like most of your games where you think you can wear people down with your depth?
Well, we try to do. We're going to try to do what we try to do. We are not going to all of a sudden become a power basketball team. That's like I said, we don't have anybody over 240 pounds on this team. So speed, quickness, athleticism, depth have got to be strengths of ours. But we're going to struggle. We did not make it enough of a factor in New Mexico, and it became too much of a half-court game when we paid the price.
Didn't make it as much of a factor because you didn't get in transition enough? Or?
Well, we didn't score the ball, so
we couldn't press.
And then when we did score the ball, we really weren't into the press until probably we were 15 down.
You mean mentally into it?
Yeah, just weren't pressing.
No.
Letting them get it in, letting them bring it up the floor. Just the things that we don't do. We really weren't putting any defensive pressure on them until we got too far down.
When you recruit guys, when do you bring up the topic of this game, and how do you tell them about it?
I got to be honest with you. This is all due respect. I would say, knowing Chris as well as I do, I don't think either one of us bring it.
Yeah. Because you have a lot of guys that aren't from around here. So I mean, but does it become a big game? When does it become something to these kids? I guess
playing in this game would only be a factor in recruiting for a local kid that would decide to stay home because he wanted to play in this game.
Yeah. What does the game mean to the guys on this team? Like you said, because there aren't a lot of guys from around here. I mean,
But they know it matters a lot to the fans, and obviously they want to win. They got pride. So you ever put kids in an environment with a lot of people in the stands, people paying attention, people talking about who wins the game. There's bragging rights on the line, so obviously the guys want to win.
I guess these guys see each other, and they see the guys around them. I mean, those guys in the summer leagues and things like that. I mean, they seem to be pretty familiar with each other. So does that still add into some of it?
Yes, but I would say this. With social media, the college basketball world has shrunk immensely. As far as how well our kids not only know the Xavier players or their players know ours, but also just other players around the country. People don't realize with AAU basketball being as elaborately organized as it is, how well these guys all know each other. It's amazing how kids know how much they know each other, and so therefore they want to play well against each other. In every game, there's kids that I played AAU with that guy. I've known that guy my whole life. I went to camp with that guy. So I think there was a time maybe where the only time you played against anybody all year that you really knew was in this game. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's quite the case anymore.
With young guys that haven't played in it before, do you have to tell them anything differently, or do you just treat it like another game? Or
I think we hopefully we learned all we need to learn about being ready to play and understanding that you better be physical and be ready to play last Saturday in Albuquerque.
Did neutral court change the whole dynamic as far as the whole atmosphere of the thing?
For me, it did. In my opinion, it did. Yeah. In my opinion, it was great. I love it. I think it eliminates some mob mentality and puts people on their best behavior because somebody's watching. I liken it to going to LaSalle High School. If you'd have put a few pretty girls in a room, nobody'd been flicking boogers on each other. You like that answer?
Yeah, it's very good. I got to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's the future of this rivalry?
The game will be played, and where it'll be played, and when it'll be played, will be decided by presidents and ADs. I doubt it'll be. I'm sure I'll be involved to some extent, but at the end of the day, whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do. So the game's going to be played.
Yeah, what do you hear from the fan bases? You got to hear from a lot of fans.
Oh yeah, well first of all, being from here, I have a lot of friends that are Xavier people. I'm Catholic. I went to LaSalle, so I have a lot of I just recently moved. My next door neighbor's kids put notes on my door when Xavier wins. He's a Xavier guy. I mean, that's just, it's neat. It's part of our community. So you got to embrace it. I just think it should all be positive and in good fun. And it should be, the game should all be about good spirit. There shouldn't be about people yelling at somebody about you got bad kids or they got bad kids. To me, all that stuff is juvenile. It's an indictment on our society. But from what I hear, Sammy's not playing basketball yet. So, but I hear if you go to a third grade game, you hear some of the same stuff. So,
How's your relationship with Chris? How's your relationship? Not juvenile?
oh no, far from. Look, we played basketball in the park together, man. We two guys we're happy to have the jobs. We know how fortunate we are to have the jobs that we have. So we understand. We also understand they're not easy. So you got there's a mutual respect.
This week, though, as far as
No, there's always a mutual respect. And we have a lot more in common this week because we grew up with a lot of the same guys that won tickets and won't leave us alone.
One-sided.
Yeah.
Thank you.